Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Joseph Asipo, the creator, curator, and anchor of Music in My Ears podcast. And it's my pleasure to welcome you to this new episode. I'm coming to you live from Nigeria, coming to you live from the city called Enugu, the coal city of Nigeria. I welcome you all, irrespective of where you come from. I don't know how to greet. It could be morning where you are, it could be afternoon where you are, it could be late night from all around the world. So, welcome to this episode. Enugu is a city that has its place in the history of Nigerian music, history of Afro-funk movement, history of Nigerian pop. When you talk about someone like Godi Oku and his high grade band, when you're talking of Sweet Breeze, when you're talking of pop stars like Chris Okoti, Jide Obi, and even recent artists like Two-Face Idibia, Blackface, and some other artists, even Sonny Okusun can trace his musical history back to this very city called Enugu. But today we're not going to talk about any of these artists from Enugu. We are going right back to where I come from, my own part of this country. We have had a very big band, a colossal band that was very popular way back when we were growing up in the 70s in what I call the South, what we know as the southeastern part of Nigeria, which was actually a state, southeastern state, before it became Cross River State, before it became, before it was split into two, into Cross River and Akwa Ibom State. Southeastern state is different from the geographical expression that we know as southeast part of Nigeria, which is a quasi-political region in Nigeria, southeast. Enugu, as a matter of fact, is the regional headquarters of this southeast. We are talking about southeast. Nigeria operates a six quasi-regional arrangement for political reasons, for federal character reasons. We have the northeast, we have the northwest, we have the southwest, north central, southeast, and south south. But where I'm talking about, where we are going to feature this band from, is what used to be known as southeast. I've already explained how the state progressed from southeast to become two states, and we find ourselves in a region called South South, which is another geographical anomaly. In any case, I am going to introduce to you and profile the band, the group known as the Doves. Most of us that grew up in Uyo, in Abak, in Oron, Calabar, and the rest, we are very familiar with this great band. That's why today I'm going to invite all my Akwa Ibom brothers and sisters to hook up, to click on and listen and refresh their memory of this band, because in my opinion this band was grossly underreported, undermentioned. Not much is talked about them. Even now, we have other bands still having good previews on social media, on the internet, but we don't seem to know so much about hear so much about the Doves. So today I'll introduce the Dove, and we're going to profile them when we come back. But before then, we need to listen to one of the songs that made them very popular, very, very popular. And that song is Everything Got to Be All Right. Happy listening. Okay, you're welcome back. That was Everything Got to Be All Right by the Doors. That happens to be kind of the signature tune, signature song of the band that made the band very popular way back. So that came up from the album with the same title, Everything Got to Be Alright, released in 1981. We're going back memory lane, The Doves actually started way back 1974 when they released their first single, The Sky. And like I said again, this band has been underreported, undermentioned, undercovered. You know, they have not been given their pride of place in the scheme of things as far as Nigerian music is concerned, probably because of where they were located, where they were based. Assuming they were a Lagos band, I believe they could have done better. But you discover that the band had one of the biggest discography. Their collection, their albums, the time they spend, the lifespan of the band is one of the highest in the country, one of the longest in the country. The band had 8 albums to their credit and 6 singles, spanning a period of 1974 to about 1987. That's a long time, even though along the line you discover there were lineup changes, but that is not uncommon. That's a regular thing with bands all over the world, where there'll be a split or they'll have several bands bearing the same name. In case of the Doves, you had the Doves, you had the original Doves, you had the Doves rock band at various times and naming various names. Then you discover sometimes the lineup changes. You see Patrick Udoh in some of the releases, and we don't see him in some of the releases. Even though Patrick Udoh seems to have been the major songwriter, one of the live wire of the band, but at times he comes up with some lineup that you don't see the likes of Maxwell Udo and other regular members. But one thing again is that the Doves, even though I'm proud to say that they're from my part of the country, which is the Akwa Ibom area, the Doves were actually a multinational and multi-ethnic band, drawing members from Nigeria. Even in Nigeria, you had the Akwa Ibomites, the Anang, and they had the Igbos, then they had Cameroonian, even had Senegalese in the band. So it's quite an intriguing thing to discover that such a band that was maybe in that time one would regard of any like any other band was actually a multi-ethnic band that made so much impact in Nigeria. And you know, we cannot, we still have to go back to the issue of the influence and the impact of the Cameroonians on Nigerian music, especially in that area. Cameroon shares a boundary with Nigeria via Akwa Ibom Cross River, the upper part, like the Taraba and the Adamawa part of the country, and maybe Borno. We discovered that it's easier for some of the, especially the English-speaking Cameroonians, to cross over into Nigeria through maybe Oron, through Ikom, through Calabar. And these guys are talented. So you discover that they contributed so much to the music in the 70s and up to late 80s, early 90s, when you see had someone like Ikonotelis, ex-producer, still playing his role in Nigerian music before he went back to Cameroon, where he later passed on. But we look at the lineup of this great band, the Doves. In fact, I have to read because it's a long list of lineup members. You had Al Jackson Nakwe. If you remember, Al Jackson is the one that died along with Jake Solo in a car accident in 1985. Al Jackson was also part of a Tubom Rex Williams band, another heavyweight Akwa Ibom band. Although he was an Igbo, but he made a mark playing for this band and later went on to release his own albums and worked with Jake Solo for a while. Then you had Billy Bayanak Eugene. That's a Cameroonian. He's a versatile guitarist, of the band, and up till now he's still playing, doing his own things. He still lives in Akwa Ibom and is doing his business out there in Akwa Ibom. You have Chidokiri Eze, you have Dominic Ikpe, you have a man else in Caston, you have Etienne Caston, you have Davis Eso Caston, you had Maxwell Udo. Maxwell Udo is a well-known name as far as music is concerned in Akwa Ibom State until he died. Until that was late early 2000. He made the mark. He was a late vocalist, and they call him the golden voice of the Doors. You know, I had Ndiadi Emerson Ekwagu, you had Saint Myron Kala, you have Sam Joseph, you have Tony Ngon. Tony Ngon is another Cameroonian. Then Patrick Udo. Then some of these people drifted to play or form other bands. Some of the members of this band, they were in a Kuku and the Midnight Band in the late 80s, still playing music. And the richness of this group is such that you wouldn't really imagine as a then that this was the way they were, that the band was this rich. And later in some of the albums, you discover another lineup. For instance, in the Flying Higher 1987 release, you had Patrick Udo, you had Dominic Ikpe, you had Chuk Lingin, you had Jerry Udo, who were not on the original lineup. And you now have, in the mid 80s again, you have the original Dopes, Maxwell Udo and some of these other guys. So it's not really strange because it happens that way with most bands around the world. Either some people will leave, then new people will come in, or they will split, they'll come back together, they jam together or do releases together. And most of the albums were actually on global label. We'll give a breakdown of this album as we go along the way. But right now, I wish to introduce the very first single that the Dopes released way back in 1974, and that is The Sky. Stay tuned. When we come back, we'll continue with the Dopes. Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome back. We are still on the matter with the Dopes on this episode of Music in My Ears. It's been a swell journey. I've enjoyed it because this band is like a new discovery for me. Musically, it's just too much. The repertoire is too much. The collection is too much. The discography is too much for just one band. I find it hard to select the songs for this very episode because of the number of the songs, array of some beautiful songs that they have. So the Doves, I said, in 1974 they released their first set of singles. The Sky was the very first one which we just played. In 1975 they came up with their first album titled The Lord Is My Shepherd. One thing with the Doves was that they were kind of philosophical in their songs, in fact close to religious. They did a lot of philosophical songs. Like this one, The Lord Is My Shepherd, is actually adaptation from Psalm 23 that we all know. They made it a beautiful song which came out as the title track of the album, their very first album, which is a kind of dedication to God Almighty. That album had so many hit tracks, so many hit tracks, and that was what propelled them to the heights that they reached as a band. We had songs like The Sky, the single that we just listened to. We had The Lord Is My Shepherd. We had Rhythm Bullets. We had Truth. We have Flying Bird. Flying Bird is actually an instrumental, a rock instrumental that really announced them in that space as a rock band, as a psychedelic rock band. Our own version of rock, the Nigerian version of rock music. It's a beautiful piece. that I would like everybody to listen to. But like I said, these songs are many, so right about now I want to do a double. I want to do a double. I want to play two songs. I'll play my solo and I'll play one of my favorite Dove song, which is What is Life. But before then, after the release of this very first album, tragedy struck the band. They lost their lead singer, Lawrence Ebanga, a Cameroonian that was part of the first production, and it was a tragic one because he died in a car crash that took place on 29th April 1976. It was after that that Maxwell Udo took over the lead vocalist duties for the band, and since then they progressed to make several other albums. It was a really sad one for the band, sad one for their fans across the world, across Akwa Ibom, across Nigeria. But the band had to dust itself up and come up with a second album called Souvenir, which was a kind of souvenir in honor of the late lead singer. And that's where you have the song Lawrence, Rest in Peace. So right about now, like I said, I want to do a double. We'll listen to my solo. I don't want to play the tribute song. Let us not dampen our spirit. The solo of Lawrence Ebanga, Rest in Perfect Peace. But I'll play my solo, a very soulful song, a beautiful song also. Then I'll play What is Life. When we'll come back, we'll continue with the story of the dove. Stay tuned. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome back to Music in My Ears podcast. Today presenting the Doves band, the Doves rock band, the original Doves, all of them put together. It's my pleasure once again to welcome you. Thank you for joining us. And once again, I want to appeal to everyone. If you come across us on your favorite streaming platform, kindly click the subscribe or the like button. We want to make progress and we count on you to make progress on this podcast. It's just our effort to contribute to the Nigerian music industry by chronicling, compiling, and putting things across to the younger generation. We listened to two tracks from the Doves, and basically after the death of the lead singer Lawrence Ebanga, the Maxwell Udo had to take over the lead vocal position, and from the raw age, from the initial beginnings, he built up his career as the lead vocalist of the band until the time he went solo, becoming a solo artist in about 1982. He was still a young person. He was about 21 years when he came out with his first album. The Doves actually did great. They did great. Their repertoire is very strong, very powerful. After the first album, upon the death of Lawrence Ebanga, they released the second album, which was titled Souvenir, still on Clover label. Then they moved ahead. That was in 1977, as if they were giving us Souvenir on the death of their former lead singer. Then in 1979, they came out with I Seek to Know the World. Then 1981, we had Everything's Gotta Be Alright. That was the first song we listened to from the Doves. Going down along the line, they moved from Ben Okonkwo's Clover to Padex. Padex happens to be the record label of Patrick Udoh, and they released Hard Time. That was in 1982 on Padex. Then the lineup was equally different from the regular lineup. Then from then on, they moved back to Ben Okonkwo's Glover, then to Average Record. Average Record happens to be Arumoya based record label that had had the Doves, Maxwell Udo as a solo artist, and another reggae group. Those young guys, we used to call them the New Waves reggae group, Umuahia based. But before we go on, we need to listen to another song from the Doves. Their songs are many, the repertoire is strong, so we want to squeeze in as many songs as we can on this very episode. So what we are going to listen right now is titled Strange Land. When we come back, we'll try and conclude this very episode. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being with us. Stay tuned until we are back. Okay, welcome back. That was Strange Line by the Doves. We are going closer to the end of this episode. Um, we got to the point that the Doves moved back to Average Records, the Umuahia-based record label, but the lineup was a kind of three-man lineup of the Doves. They called themselves the original Doves, whether it was Maxwell Udo, St. Myra, and E. Edelson. So basically, that was the lineup for original Doves that came up with an album called "We Should Have Gone Far Away" on Average Records of Umuahia. So that's how it's been. This very great band got to this point, releasing music all along and entertaining the fans across the Kwaibom area, the southeast area, which was equally part of their stronghold. And then most of their members have gone their different ways. Like you said, no, Billy Eugene is now in Udoh, is into sound reinforcement. Tony Ngom is back in Cameroon. He does gospel music. Some of them are pastors. Maxwell Udo, I've mentioned already, move on to his solo careers in the 80s and even the early 90s. He released several songs, and from the moving on from the funk to the calypso flavored kind of music. And then when the reggae waves came, Maxwell Udo moved on to do a lot of reggae songs, releasing reggae albums. Remember the popular Daka Nominda song, I Still Love You, and several beautiful tracks from the man. He was quite revered in Akwa Ibom, quite loved in Akwa Ibom, even as a solo artist. He did well. He represented the state very, very well. That's why once again I enjoined my Akwa Ibom brothers to support this particular episode, because this is our own band, more or less, whether we like it or not. We should support Maxwell Udo's music, even though it's late. We'll keep on playing for his memory. If the copyright is done right, his family will still have one or two things, and that's one of the reasons we are doing this, so that we keep them in our memory. So basically, 1984, the Doves came up with another album. The title of that album is a somber kind of, I don't know why they titled the album In Melancholy Mood. I don't quite know the reason, but that is how they decided to title that their 1984 release. Finally, in 1987, they released Flying Higher, and that was about the last album the various lineups of the Doves released, and that's kind of rounded up their stay on the music scene, even though some of them had gone to do other things, other businesses. Some of them became pastors. Some of them released their own solo albums. Maxwell Udo built a good career after the Doves. So right now, I want to squeeze in another two songs from the Doves. This time around, I want to play Flying Bird, the instrumental. Then I'll play Rhythm Bullet, one of the songs from the very first album that was released in 1975. That is The Lord is My Shepherd album. I want to play Reading Bullet, Flying Bird. When we come back, we will say our final bias on this episode. Thank you for staying tuned. Okay, thank you so much once again. We are back on the Dose Music and Talk episode on Nigerian music history podcast, Music in My Ears. Thank you for joining us once again. Anywhere you come across us on your favorite streaming platform, YouTube, Music in My Ears video, Anchor.fm, Music in My Ears, our website, musicinmyears.com, on Comcast, Music in My Ears, on Radio Public, on TuneIn Radio, any platform you meet us, on Audio Mac, we are there, on Amazon Music, we are there, Google Podcasts, we are there. Kindly click the subscribe button, support us so that we'll be encouraged to keep on doing what we are doing. So we are rounding up the episode on the doves. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for staying with us. Once again, join us. Let us continue to enjoy Nigerian music. Let us continue to share nostalgia. Let us continue to keep our culture, keep our music going. Until we meet again, bye for now.